What is up guys, it is Simba here and welcome back to another WOR video on the channel. And today it is round number 6 for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the last video, which was in Qatar, make sure you check that out before you see this one. The link, as always, is in the top right hand side of your screen. And if you've already seen it, you already know it didn't go that well. So we're looking to bounce back today. And if you're looking forward to this one, make sure you hit the like button and get subscribed to the channel for more league racing and team racing content on F1 24. We've been growing the channel pretty nicely over the last couple of weeks, and we are still slowly starting to continue growing. So I really do appreciate the support as we get into qualifying. You see, we've done our first lap, which puts us P5 provisionally, but as you can see, it's not exactly on the pace as, yeah, you saw the fastest lap there being a 21.9, and that's essentially what the title is all about. I was not feeling great around this track. It's not really been my strongest track on the last few F1 games as we invalidate in the last sector. We're going to carry on with the lap, I think. No, I don't think so. No, the lap's done. So, yeah, I thought I was going to carry on with the lap, but you can see we're going to dive into the pits and try again, as you can easily do 4 runs around here. We tried a third one, but that didn't go well either. So we're down in P10 out of a 15 car grid, which isn't great, but the fact that we're in the top 10 is quite a miracle. My PB was pretty much a 22.0, so we're not really showing any flying pace around here. So we're looking to try and maximize everything in this final lap. Down the main straight towards turn 1, spot the black box on the right hand side, down to 4th gear, but we've completely missed the apex there, and we've dropped to 10th in one corner. So that's basically the one corner you need to nail, since turns 2 and 3 are basically flat out, and you can see the first sector it's not great. A 0.4 isn't exactly going to make, you know, the front guys tremble. It's not going to look great. It's not a great sector at all. So we've got quite some recovering to do for the rest of the lap, using a bit more overtake than we did on the last lap. Down this straight towards turns 6 and 7, bit of a rear end loss at turn 7, which does cost us a bit of time. However, we are just barely up on the delta, so we can still close out the lap with a solid finish. Personal best in the middle sector, a 0.49, again, isn't the greatest of middle sectors. Ideally, you want to be at least a 10th quicker, but we're going to see if we can try and close out the lap strongly. Down towards this right-hander into the hotel section, we're just going to try and absolutely send it, trying to carry as much minimum speed through the corners as possible, and we've done quite a decent job of it. We've gained half a tenth as we go into the final corner now, down to 4th gear. You could cut this corner, but we choose the safer route, but we are just going to improve. It's a 22.1, and that puts us P9 at the time, but in the end, it is going to put us in P10. Only 4.5 tenths off pole position. You can see the grid was quite close between the first 11 cars, less than half a second covering the top 11, and we find ourselves in the top 10. So I was actually not too mad about it. My PB, I think, was a 0.9 or an 8 invalid, but so the lap doesn't count. So yeah, I'll take P10, and we're going to see if our race pace is better than our quali pace. As you know, quali is not exactly a great strength of mine, but we're going to see what we can do in the race. So here we go then, time for the start of the race. We're going to be one of a few cars to start on the hard tyre. I remember Elite Risks and Shazoo Ogwin were in my party at the time, and Elite was suggesting mediums and Ogwin was suggesting the hards. We're going to go for the hards. We're going to try the alt strat and see if we could be quicker towards the end on the medium tyres. So, starting 10th, let's see what we can get out of this race. 5 red lights ahead of us, and the lights are out, and we are underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to mark the halfway point of this WOR season. Going in towards turn number 1 after a decent getaway, we're alongside TF10 Fern. If you remember Qatar, we got damage after colliding with him. As you can see, more Minotaur on the mediums sweeps past us on the inside at turn 3, which I'm not too bothered about, because the medium tyres are going to be a lot quicker in the opening laps of this race as we go into turn 5 on the inside, and we stay alongside the Mercedes as there is a lot of side-by-side action as people are looking to use the turn 6 and 7 chicane as the best way to gain some early places. We're looking to try and get back at Minotaur. Going in towards turn 6 and 7 into the chicane, we stick on the inside line, we tap the back of the laggy RB. We still remain alongside Minotaur on the exit of turn 7. And you can see Schumacher also on the hards. On the same strategy as us looking to make a move. It was nearly 3 wide. But now we have been gifted a virtual safety car on the first lap. I think it was a Williams who was taken out there. And we've actually managed to somehow overtake Minotaur in the VSC as soon as it was deployed. So we're still P10. We've managed to maintain position. We haven't gained or lost anything. And now this is where things are going to get interesting, because DRS has been enabled on lap 2. You can see Fern turns into the side of Flo and nearly murders him into the wall on the right hand side. Thankfully Flo gets away with it and gets stays in P9 for now, as DRS has been enabled. Schumacher had a look at us going into turn number 5, where Verstappen famously passed Hamilton. You can see Fern has got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. We're going to see if we can try and go round the outside and set up a move, but Schumacher tags us as he just about holds on to his McLaren and nearly gets into the back of us. But we are now down to P11. But again, I'm not too bothered at this phase. We just need to make sure that we're showing some consistent times on these hard tyres, as these are not going to feel great. But Fern's lagged out with his Wi-Fi internet not being the best, as we go straight past him and we'll take P10. So we are still in the final points paying position at the end of lap 2. And on to lap 3, there's going to be quite a bit of fighting ahead of us.
Oh my god, why is Epicville fighting on hards?
And you can hear me say, why is Epicville fighting on hards? He's on the same strategy as us, and he's looking to fight Flo for P7, I believe, on track. There's a lot of contact going into turn 9. Me and Minotaur.
It's lap 3. And people don't know how to race.
We'll happily take the free 2 positions, and unfortunately it's come at a cost, because we've now lost DRS to the top 6 cars ahead of us, and some of them, like Alpha Gully in front of us in the Sauber, they've started on the hard. So what we're going to have to do now for the next couple of laps is to basically work together with each other to try and maintain the gap and maybe close in if something happens in front of us. So now Epic Vale has managed to get over that little collision with Flo, and now we're just working together with the DRS down towards 6 and 7. He lets us go by the time we get out of the chicane, and now we're going to return the favour as well, as this is what we have to do. You can see Vale, he will happily take the position. I give him a little weave to show him that I'm not going to fight you, you can go straight ahead. And we do this for a few more laps. You can see on to the next lap on lap 6. We do the exact same thing, and we are back into P7. So that's essentially what we're doing, and it helps that we are all on the same strategy. Schumacher's up to P9 as well, so yeah, it's going to help us as well. It's going to help us, it's going to help Epic Vale, it's going to help Schumacher, because if we can catch up to the cars in front, our strategy will be made a lot more potent towards the end of the race. But meanwhile, something's happened up ahead.
Oh, hello. Where is it? Adios, man.
And speaking of something happening up ahead, that was Fraser in the Red Bull on the mediums, who's had a bit of a collision at the last corner. So we move up to P6 now, and FG Medal was actually telling me that we weren't losing too much time to the cars in front, despite being 2 seconds back. So we're actually doing a good job of swapping DRS on the straight and maintaining the gap. But now it makes me think that we could actually gain even more if more carnage goes up ahead. So we let Epic Vale go down the straight with the DRS, and now Fraser, he wants some places back. He's been hit in the rear, I think, so he's going to be quite annoyed, and he'll take the place as well. But yeah, it's the main thing, it's just to keep up with these guys in front. But Vale makes a meal out of the chicane exit of turn 7 as Fraser goes through. We're going to go straight through as well, and we move back into P7 with Fraser now down to P6. So things might start kicking off here in this race, but as we get on to lap 8, we
are in. Hello there.
Are finally in DRS range of the top 5 cars in front of us. So that's great. The train is back together, but that means we might see some action as well, as people might get desperate to gain some positions before the pit stop phase. As you can see, Epic Vale is one of them. He goes right up the inside at turn 9. We get a very nice switchback on the Haas, but my priority is staying with the train and just maintaining the battery, because that's going to be key around here, as there's 2 long DRS straights. And something that's not going to help us is getting track limit warnings. We get our first one of the race on lap 8. Getting warnings around here only happens if you're careless. And yeah, time will tell if we will be careless or not in this video. As on to lap 9, I did say earlier that things might kick off. Schumacher with a huge dive bomb there into turn 5, and he's up into P8 now.
I'm not even surprised he dived me there.
However, I was expecting it, as you could hear me say. I was not surprised he was trying that at all. But yeah, I mean, obviously the train's back together, people are starting to make moves, and it might carry on for some time here, guys. So expect a bit of carnage to go down, because we are on lap 10. We are just approaching the halfway point of this race, and you can see people are going side by side. Fraser has been hit again, this time at turn 5. So he's lost out again on those medium tyres.
I don't know why everyone's fighting each other so hard. Like, no one's pitted it, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Can we all just calm our ticks down, please? That would be fantastic.
And you can hear my reaction. He's on point again, because I am actually quite confused on why everyone's fighting so hard. It's lap 10. We're not even at the halfway stage yet, and people are going side by side through turn 9. You can see Alpha Gully just about keeping his Sauber face in the right way, as he's fighting Epic Vale, who's continuing to make places up the field on those hard tyres. So he's feeling a lot more confident in the race stream. As you can see, Alpha Gully and Schumacher now are going side by side into the hotel section.
Oh, why are we doing this in sector 3? Just, oh my god.
So as you can tell, it is starting to heat up here in Abu Dhabi. You can see that we try to size up a move going into the first corner, but we lose the rear end. But going into the first corner, there's still side-by-side action.
Yep, in a bit. I saw that coming like 5 miles away.
And inevitably, there has been contact, and it's not ended well for Fraser, who has been hit again in this race. He can't catch a break in the last 3-4 laps, and he's lost out badly. But now we're up into P6 as we skip to lap 12. Now the pit stop phase has begun here in this race. As you can see, I think Bobbitt and MVR Samuel, who got pole, are all in the pits for a set of hard tyres. You can see NLR Spider stayed out, and we're going to try and follow Schumacher through, as he's on the same strategy as us, as we go up the inside of the Aston Martin, going into turn 6 and through turn 7. We've sealed that move very nicely, and we're up into the podium places provisionally, as we haven't pitted yet. So actually, we're doing pretty well so far. We've kept track position, we're keeping up with the guys on the same strategy as us, and that's going to be the important thing for the next few laps. We just need to keep putting laps in, because, you know, obviously we're going to have fresher tyres by the end of the race. But crucially, Spicer is still with us as well, and he's on the medium tyres, so we'll see what he does at the end. But Schumacher, once again, is actually going to surprise me here. He's going to pit a lap earlier than I was actually expecting, and he's in the pits. So now that means we're basically being told to respond on this lap so we don't get undercut too badly by him. So on to lap 15, you can see that we're going to try and make some moves, as we're going to try and box this lap. We take the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but going into turn 9, we have a massive loss of the rear. That's not going to help us, considering we've just put in a green first sector, a personal best so far in this race, as again we're struggling to hit an apex when we don't have a car in front of us. We get a silly, very silly second warning for track limit. So it's been another scruffy in lap as we lose the rear again going into the penultimate corner, and we're going to call it quits there. Box in this lap, you know, reduce the time loss, and we're going to put on a set of medium tyres. And one thing that is really important here is, crucially, Spicer has followed us in as well, so he's going to be quite key towards the end of this race, and surely his tyres are going to be in much better shape as some cars go through, as Samuel sets the fastest lap of the race on his fresh hard tyres. We're going to come out on a set of fresh mediums, and we're going to see where we come out. We're going to come out in 9th place, as there are 2 cars in front of us of Titanium, Flow and Minotaur ahead of us. And crucially, Spicer is right behind us. We've managed to jump Fraser as well. So he's not having a good race at all. But it doesn't take long for us to catch up to the 2 cars in front, as by the time we get to lap 17, we are right at the back of them. Epic Vale boxed at the end of lap 16, and you can see, briefly, he had a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's a vital mistake from the Haas driver, but I'm expecting him to catch us up really quickly. He had really strong pace on the hards, and he's probably going to be showing even more pace, even stronger pace, on the mediums. So it's up to us to make sure that we can try and clear these 2 cars first, because in Brazil, I believe in WR a few races ago, we kind of struggled to get past 2 cars, and that cost us a lot of track position. We're going to try and pass TTM Flow, but Spicer had the exact same idea, and he takes the both of us going into turn 6 and through turn 7. I wasn't too bothered with him passing us, because I think it's going to be like Brazil, where we'll have to work with him to make sure we catch up with the train again. We're going to use the battery to pass not 1 but 2 cars going into turn 9, and that is us up into P6, and now we've got some clean air to work with for the first time.
Right, let me know if they start fighting each other for medal.
And I am asking Medal just to let me know if they start fighting up ahead, because that could be the best way that we get it back into the train for a top 4 position. So we're looking pretty good so far, despite, you know, not having the pace in qualifying. We're showing some good racecraft, and we're showing some really decent pace once again, as we set a 24.9 at the end of lap 17. So our personal best of the race. And Flo's retired, which is really unfortunate. So 1 minute he can fight for a win, the next minute he can't catch a break, which is really, really unfortunate. As yeah, it's really unfortunate for him. He's actually pretty quick, but the first half of the season has not been too kind to him. As on to lap 18, Spicer gets right back past us, so we're going to have to do the same thing as we were doing in the early stages of this race, where we're just going to have to work together with the cars around us to use the DRS to mitigate the gap to the cars in front, and then basically just hope that there's a lot of squabbling going on and the train will just be put back together. So we're down to P6, and Spicer will take P5 for now. You can see Epic Vale doing a 23.8. It's a good thing he's got a penalty, because he would have easily finished ahead of us without it. So on to lap 19 now. We're catching up to Spicer, and you can see he's moved out of the way. He's rolled the red carpet for us going into the turn 6 and 7 chicane. He lets us go. We're up to 5th, but we're going to do the same thing on the next straight. So we give him another weave. DRS wide open for the Aston Martin. He goes through, and Epic Vale is going to follow his way through. But I wasn't too bothered, because looking at his pace, he is looking much more quick, a lot quicker and a lot more confident. So it's a good thing that he's in front. He can try and help us close down the cars in front, as Schumacher is going to be on the oldest medium tyres in the field. As on to lap 20, we're just settling down, charging up the battery, making sure that we're ready for the last couple of laps. But unfortunately, we followed Spicer's line in a massive lapse of concentration. We get our 3rd warning. Very silly mistake, and that's a 3-second penalty as we nearly lose the car in the final corner. So we're not really helping ourselves once again here. Just another silly mistake that we're probably going to have to roll with for the rest of the race. So it's not ideal, to say the least. So that goes probably a chance out of top 5 right there and then, just out of 1 mistake. So it is a bit frustrating, but we're going to have to try and maximise the result now. But Fraser wants his place is back, and he's going to start with us at the chicane.
Okay, mate. Warrison. Nice one. You don't even get DRS. Oh my god, Minotaur, Jesus. Nice, he broke up the train. Well done.
And this just made things even worse. Very frustrating, as we've lost the train now.
You know what, lads? There are some people that are just really smart. Like, you could just tell how smart they are. Fantastic. It really, really is. Great.
And you can tell I'm not very happy, and this essentially ruined our race, because we don't really get back in the train after that. Fraser did apologise for this, by the way, so don't try and hit him in the comments. Alright, he did apologise after the race, because he did realise that he made a mistake which wasn't worth it. As on to lap 28. The only good thing for us now is the 2 cars in front of us have penalties. We are catching up to Samuel and Schumacher on old tyres, but it's just going to be too little too late. And the frustrating thing is Spicer and Vale are up the road fighting for the last podium place.
Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race.
So without, you know, the move from Fraser, we probably would have been looking at a potential podium or something, or maybe in our top 4. But now we're just going to have to maximise the best result possible, and that is P6. But how are we going to do this? We're going to have to try and pass 2 cars in 1 lap, and we don't have the most battery in the tank. So Minotaur, he tried to get his penalty removed, as apparently I pushed him off the track. He's looking to save his battery for turn 9 if he makes a move on Fraser. We're not waiting around. We're going to try and pass him here, going into turn 6 on the brakes, and it's a very nice move. He doesn't see it coming, and we take P8. And now we're going to try and go after Fraser for P7. We don't have too much battery in the pocket now, so Minotaur, he's not too happy. And now he's going to want P8 back. So going into turn 9,
Oh my god. That was ambitious to say the least.
he
Jesus
tried
Christ.
to send it there, and he just missed us. That could have been a race-ending collision, but we've managed to pass the Mercedes, and meanwhile Fraser
Calm as a bitch.
goes into a spin on the last lap of the race. There was literally 3 corners to go. So we've got the 2 cars that we wanted to get, and we're so close to Schumacher and Samuel, but in the end it's P7 on the road, and it's P6 in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
I'll take that. That's not too bad.
And there you go, P6 from P10 in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'm pretty happy with the top 6, considering this is not exactly one of my best tracks. However, Tech was demoted from the win due to a 3-second penalty. He managed to get that removed, as it was quite an unfair warning in the pit lane. So he takes the win. Spicer finishes 2nd, and Bobbitt will be 3rd. The only thing I'm quite miffed about is that moment on lap 21, because you saw Spicer was in front of us, you saw Epic Vale was in front of us. If we just stuck with them and not get the penalty, we could have maybe been looking at a top 4, maybe even a podium. But again, it's not my best track, and considering what we were facing on the last lap, I will happily take P6, gaining those 2 places on the last lap, including Vale's penalty. So overall, I can't really complain too much. That will leave us with 3 top 6 finishes in the first 6 rounds of the season. We are going to go into a week break, so there'll be a bit of a gap between the races, but so far it's been pretty solid in WR. Make sure you get subscribed for more content, and as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.